Welcome to Apex Philosophy. You will find your motivation here. Be sure to subscribe and listen every day because you become what you consume. Please like and share this video to help inspire others. With that all said and done, let's start with the video. How to get the most out of your education. You've been missing out if you've never heard of Peter Thiel. He's a billionaire who co-founded PayPal with Elon Musk and was one of the first investors in Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook. He paid only $500,000 for 10% of Facebook. Thiel is, in my opinion, one of the most intelligent people alive today. There is a lot of insight inside his brilliant mind. Here are just a few of Peter's ideas and perspectives on life. It's important to consider and ponder on what geniuses say. It's the quickest way to improve your own intelligence. Avoid extreme ideologies. Extreme pessimists find no point in doing anything, and extreme optimists find no need to do anything. They both converge on doing nothing. It is important to be outgoing, but it must be balanced by respecting boundaries. It is important to be studious, but not at the expense of productivity. It is important to stay clean and tidy, but take it to the extreme and you'll never stop. You can see all these extremes in today's politics. People are digging into these extremes and are no longer able to hear the other sides of the arguments without becoming emotional. This causes more conflict than necessary. It's better to be in the middle and to be able to hear both sides from a neutral stance. Once he was asked to give his younger self advice. If you ever have to choose between status or substance, choose substance. He claims that we all have to make that decision, and our natural tendency is to go with social proof, what the majority perceives to be the right choice, but he says this should be avoided. This has never been more clear today. People everywhere are clinging to their source of news and following what their tribe is doing without critically thinking for themselves. You are not a sheep, so don't act like one. Think for yourself. He says that conventional wisdom will lead you to competing for something worthless. Elite students climb confidently until they reach a level of competition sufficiently intense to beat their dreams out of them. Higher education is the place where people who had big plans in high school get stuck in fierce rivalries with equally smart peers over conventional careers like management consultant and investment banking, for the privilege of being turned into conformists. Don't just follow the path laid out by those around you. Stop and look around. Learn how the game works first, then decide if you want to play in that game or not. Then choose the path that suits you best. When asked if he would go to university if he knew what he knows now, it's possible I would do it again, he said, but also that he would think about it much harder. I would ask questions. Why am I doing this? Am I just doing this because I have good grades and test scores, and because I think it's prestigious? Or am I doing this because I'm extremely passionate about practicing law? So I think there are good answers and there are bad answers, and my sort of retrospective on my early 20s is that I was way too focused on the wrong answers at the time. He goes on to add that the modern education system is like the Church of the Dark Ages, saying it has become a very corrupt institution. It was charging more and more for indulgences. People thought in the 1500s they could only get saved by going to church, just like people today believe that salvation involves getting a college diploma. And if you don't get a college diploma, that you're going to hell. I think my answer is, in some ways, like that of the reformers in the 16th century. It is the same disturbing answer, that you're going to have to figure out your salvation on your own. Peter explains that it isn't an education that you need to succeed, it's knowledge. I don't like the word education because it is such an extraordinary abstraction. I'm much more sceptical of credentializing or the abstract called education. So there are these granular questions like, what is it that you're learning? Why are you learning it? Are you going to college because it's a 4-year party? Is it a consumption decision? Is it an investment decision where you're investing in your future? Is it insurance, or is it a tournament where you're just beating other people? Are our elite universities really like Studio 54, where it's like an exclusive nightclub? This is why I emphasise knowledge so much. The world has now entered the age of knowledge. It's no longer the information age, it's the knowledge age. With the internet putting out all of humanity's information at your fingertips, it's not so much about what you know as it is about what you can do with it. Your education defines you, both the formal schooling and what you're doing today to become self-taught. How will you choose to be defined? What knowledge will you seek? What would the world be like if every human being, young and old, spent 33% of their day, or roughly 5 hours, acquiring new knowledge about health, wealth, relationships and happiness? I believe it would put an end to war, poverty and illness. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine, that a child of farm workers can become the president of a great nation. It is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another. I'd like to emphasise that last line. It is what we make out of what we have. You have to make your education valuable by investing in the right things, getting the right knowledge out of it. Life can be a bit like the myth of Achilles and the arrow in his heel. You can do almost everything right, but that one thing you don't know about, that chink in your armour, can come unexpectedly and devastate your life. Be afraid of what might happen to you because of your lack of knowledge. It can be disastrous. A lack of knowledge tempts fate and Mother Nature. Mother Nature should be the last resort teacher. She is unforgiving. Peter Thiel mentions 3 potential pitfalls in modern education in his book 0 to 1, Notes on Startups or How to Build the Future. 1. Too systematic, leaving no room for individuality. We teach every person the same subjects in mostly the same ways, irrespective of individual talents and preferences. Students who don't learn best by sitting still at a desk are made to feel somehow inferior, while children who excel on conventional measures, like tests and assignments, end up defining their identities in terms of this weirdly contrived academic parallel reality. 2. Too few tracks create unnecessary competition. It gets worse as students ascend to higher levels of the tournament. Elite students climb confidently until they reach a level of competition sufficiently intense to beat their dreams out of them. 3. Your inner light gets snuffed out. Higher education is the place where people who have big plans in high school get stuck in fierce rivalries with equally smart peers over conventional careers like management consulting and investment banking. For the privilege of being turned into conformists, students or their families pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in skyrocketing tuition that continues to outpace inflation. Peter Thiel then asks, why are we doing this to ourselves? There is no reason why our education should be crammed into our adolescence. I'd rather live in a world where you took one class every day from age 5 to the age of 95. It's a fool's errand to pack school in from the age of 5 to 25 and then have adults basically stop learning. Another way to continue learning is through experimentation with business. A startup is the largest endeavour over which you can have a finite mastery. You can have agency not over just your own life, but over a small and important part of the world. It begins by rejecting the unjust tyranny of chance. You are not a lottery ticket. If you are waiting for someone else to hire you and pull you up, then you are putting all of your destiny in someone else's hands. Take your destiny into your own hands. Start your own business. Test your own ideas. The most important question you can ask yourself when testing your ideas: tell me something that's true that very few people agree with you on. This is a very tricky question to answer. Try it. Remember, it must be something true, not something made up. The reason this is such an important question is that most major breakthroughs come from spotting trends that an average person lacks the vision or contrarian viewpoint to see. Alan Nation once said, "If you tell your neighbour your idea and they think there is no risk in doing it, then you are too late. You missed the trend." Peter Thiel advises you to avoid competition. Most business books tell you how you should compete more effectively, and mine goes somewhat against the grain to tell you that you should not compete. He continues, Figure out something that nobody else is doing and look to create a monopoly in some area that's been underdeveloped. He goes on to say, every moment in business happens only once. The next Bill Gates will not build an operating system. The next Larry Page or Sergey Brin will not make a search engine. And the next Mark Zuckerberg won't create a social network. If you are copying these guys, you aren't learning from them. Thiel noticed that many successful entrepreneurs, such as Mark Zuckerberg, have Asperger's syndrome, which makes them socially awkward but less sensitive to societal norms. Why does it seem that nerds are so successful? We need to ask, what is it about our society where those of us who do not suffer from Asperger's are not at some massive disadvantage? Is it because we will be talked out of our interesting, original, creative ideas before they are even fully formed? The billionaire Lai Kang-shing gave this advice to a young man who was making only $2,000 a month. He said to divide your earnings equally into 5 parts and spend 1 part on education. To learn, monthly spend should be about $50 to $100 to buy books. Because you don't have a lot of money, you should pay attention to learning. When you buy the books, read them carefully and learn the lessons and strategies that are being taught in the book. Each book, after reading them, put them into your own language to tell the stories. Sharing with others can improve your credibility and enhance the affinity. He also said, save up $200 per month to attend a training course. When you have higher income or additional savings, try to participate in advanced training. When you participate in good training, not only do you learn good knowledge, you also get to meet like-minded friends who are not easy to come by. Everyone is told to invest in an IRA or a 401k plan or in real estate. This will never grow your income. Only your personal knowledge can do that. Like Warren Buffett says, the more you learn, the more you earn. It's time to get started. Go out and take a college night class or sit in as an observer. Believe it or not, if you just ask if you can sit in, many professors will say yes. We live in the best of times. You could watch Yale courses on YouTube. You used to have to be born an elite to go to Yale. Now, all you need is a smartphone. Go to a conference you have been putting off. Buy another book. Read it. Get as close to spending 33% of your time and 20% of your money on doubling down on your own knowledge. Invest in yourself. Thank you for listening. Comment below, do you think college is worth it? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.